demonstrates...
Most employers don't have to call ambulances 1,400 times in 5 years.
I want to point out that we employ 75,000 employees over 100 locations across the entirety of the UK.
There's 50,000 people work in the Palace of Westminster each day. We don't call ambulances 1,400 times over the course of 5 years. Order, order. Welcome to this third panel in our Select Committee's inquiry into the Industrial Relations Bill and industrial relations in the UK. I'm immensely grateful to Jennifer Kearney and Stuart Morgan for joining us from Amazon. You're very welcome here this afternoon, and thank you for making time in a busy schedule to come and give evidence to us. Jennifer, perhaps I can start with you. Does Amazon basically hate trade unions?
I'd like to start with introducing myself and sharing with the committee what I do.
Don't worry, we've got the biography, so
Great.
we're just going to jump straight into the questions because the time is against us. And the question is, does Amazon basically hate trade unions?
Amazon is really clear that our preference is working directly with our employees. It's worked very well for us in the 25 years that we've been inside of the UK. Should our employees choose union recognition, union representation in any way, of course, we'll comply.
Okay. Now, you'll be aware of a report that was published by one of our sister committees in the United States on Sunday by Senator Sanders and others. And in that report, the allegation is that Amazon basically, in the report's words, accepts injuries to its workers as the cost of doing business. Is that true?
I am aware of the report that's been published. At this point in time, I've not had the opportunity to go through the details of that, but I'd like to reassure and state that actually for Amazon, safety is our number one priority. Mm-hmm. It always has been and always will be. And we benchmark ourselves against health and safety executive data. The data for the period 2022, which is published on our safety blog, actually states and proves that Amazon is 50% safer in terms of when compared to other businesses within this sector.
Yeah.
I would say
that's 531 injuries per 100,000, and as you say, the last published figures were 2022. Why have they not been updated since then?
So the actual data demonstrates that in 2022 was 77 million hours worked, which gives you a scale of the size of our operation. Mm. The data on that blog, which is in the process of being updated, demonstrates that actually that is one incident every 132 years. So our priority is safety. And that has always been the case.
The question was, will it be updated? The data that we've last got published is 2022. Are there plans to update that data?
We're in the process of updating the data. We are confident that actually we are making improvements in our safety. So that is demonstrated by the fact that on an annual basis we complete over 350,000 inspections each year. We continue to invest in automation within our network, which is again improving our safety. We engage with our employees through safety committees, and all of these are active ways in which we continue to improve. But we're not complacent in this. One single safety incident is too many, and we will continue to improve in this area.
But you're planning to update that data and publish it when, do you think?
I'm not able to confirm an actual date at this point, but the reason that we set up the safety blog back in 2022 was that we wanted to actually be transparent around our record with safety. There are many allegations that have been made around the safety. When those have been investigated, then they've been proven to be untrue. So we saw this as an opportunity in which that actually we could support and help people to understand.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just run through just a few things just to sort of check. So at the moment in warehouses, people work a 10-hour shift. Is that standard?
Our standard shifts are 4 10-hour days, highly desired by our employees. It gives them the balance that they have to live their life. We also offer flexibility so that they can, make a change to their schedule on the spot, which we also see our employees do. We also, of course, employ part-time employees and individuals who are on more flexible schedules. It's one of the things that Amazon does best.
Yeah, and within the warehouses, there is, in a sense, an algorithm that helps set targets for the amount of picking, for example, that a worker might need to conduct on their shift.
In Amazon, we use technology for a whole different range of reasons, as you would anticipate, whether that is tracking goods through different stages of the process within the warehouse, whether that is around the security of our sites, and also, as I've explained, in terms of the introduction of technologies to improve our overall safety. Do we set performance targets? Then, like many other businesses, yes, we do set performance targets.
And those performance targets may change day by day?
When we set performance targets, we are thoughtful, we're considerate, we take performance data over an extended period of time so that it avoids looking at specific days or accepting that there are fluctuations. We also are considerate in that we take into account whether the employee is training in a new skill or that they may be learning or at a recently joined the business. So these are all different types of inputs that we take when we're setting what our performance targets are.
And you'll be aware of the allegations because they've been reported by the BBC, that such as people's fear of missing those performance targets and perhaps losing their job, that they are urinating into plastic bottles to avoid taking the time to go to the bathroom. Is that true?
I don't recognize that in the 7.5 years. I don't think Stuart would say the same for his 10 years at Amazon. When we're in our buildings and we talk to our employees on the shop floor who are doing meaningful work for our customers and are proud of their role, they tell us about the way that they feel fulfilled and they're able to provide for themselves and for their families. So simply don't recognize that. Okay,
and Mr. Morgan, you had confirmed that you've not heard that allegation either?
I've spent 10 years working in frontline positions, leading buildings across the entire Amazon network. I don't recognize that situation. It is a common myth, which is untrue. We do measure performance of our employees. We do not monitor their movements in the building. We simply track performance when they are on task. And at any point in time that they need to either use the facilities, they need to make an important telephone call, or they have an engagement with a leader, then that is stopped.
Okay. And you'll be aware too then of an observer-led investigation that reported over 1,400 ambulance call-outs in a period of just 5 years. I mean, that indicates an environment that's not terrifically safe to me.
I would disagree with the premise of the question and allow me to explain. So the first point is that if an employee at any point needs medical attention, which is beyond what our capable first aiders can do, would we call an ambulance? And the answer to that would be yes. However, I think it is oversimplistic and not correct to make a correlation between ambulance call-outs and whether an environment is safe or not safe. And if I could share the experience of my time within Amazon and leading buildings, whenever there would be an occasion that an ambulance would be called to site, then I would be informed of that matter because safety is our priority, as I've stated. And in the majority of those cases, the situation is that for what we would describe as a non-work-related incident or a pre-existing medical condition, and those were for the majority of the cases. So it is an oversimplification to state that a high ambulance call-out rate leads to an unsafe environment. And I would just reinforce the point that I made earlier about our data and how we benchmark against a health and safety executive,
Most employers don't have to call ambulances 1,400 times in 5 years.
I want to point out that we employ 75,000 employees over 100 locations across the entirety of the UK.
There's 50,000 people work in the Palace of Westminster each day. We don't call ambulances 1,400 times over the course of 5 years.
I think the data that Stuart shared speaks for itself, but as we shared earlier, one incident is too many. So we work actively hearing from employees, hey, what can we do better or different for you? Every time we have an idea or a concern brought to us, it's our obligation, but it's also our privilege to support them and to make sure that we're doing everything as safely as possible.
Well, if one incident is too many, how would you explain the case that we were given just an hour or two ago of a 30-year-old man who got chemical in his eyes, and we were told that Amazon didn't or wouldn't call an ambulance because there were an excessive number of ambulance call-outs compared to other sites? It wasn't until he got home that he was able to go to hospital, and tragically it was too late to save all his vision, and he now only has 20% vision. Is that a case you recognise?
I don't recognise that specific case. If you have details of that case, then we would write a follow-up. What I can say is that for any incident that does take place, then we conduct a thorough investigation of that.
So it was on the 6th of October, I think, 2022, that Mr. Bezos says that we, Amazon, are going to be the Earth's best employer and the Earth's safest place to work. Is that now true?
We are getting better every day. What you'll see inside of our buildings, and we'd like to invite each of you to come and see either any of our buildings at any point. You'll see a place where we care deeply about employees. When I say we, that's every single one of our site leaders, our HR teams inside of our building. You'll see us continually getting better. As we shared, we're not complacent, even though the data says that we are a very safe place to work. I also shared about some flexibility and some other things employees tell us they cannot get anywhere else. I hear constantly, this is the best place that I've ever worked, and that is from multiple experiences in multiple of our buildings across the entirety of the UK.
Well, let's turn from safety to pay then. I think you've said that you're on a journey to become the Earth's safest place to work rather than you've reached that destination. So when we look at your SEC filings and we look at the breakout for sales in the UK, we can see that between 2018 and 2023, Amazon UK's sales have grown by 132%, but growth in pay for frontline workers has been 42%. So are you basically profiteering from the hard work of employees and not giving them the full measure of their reward?
Now, what I would like to just to reinforce is in terms of where our current position is on pay. And that is both above the real living wage and the minimum wage. It gives the opportunity for our employees working 40 hours a week across 40 days to be earning as a startup or a start position of £28,000 to £30,000. Now, when we set our pay, we go through an annual process and we take into account a number of different factors, including economic data points. We are confident that, and we do benchmark against other businesses, and we are confident that we are offering a fair rate of pay. It's one of the main reasons why employees actually choose to join us as well. And
it's not just pay, it's a benefits package that includes personal medical care, income protection, where we go over and above for our employees to make sure that they're choosing us. And the data shows that people want to work at Amazon, not just because of pay, but their total compensation.
So, I mean, when we look at the premium, for example, that you pay over national minimum wage, we can see that September 2024, the premium over minimum wage was about 15% for low-paid workers, about 22% for higher-paid workers. That's now fallen to a 10% premium for lower-paid workers and a 17% premium for higher-paid workers. And I suppose we're looking at that alongside 2023 Amazon UK Services limited profits of £280.5 million. And I guess the question is, who leads the conversation on workers' behalf about how they get a bigger share of that almost £250 million worth of profit?
I I think that growth in national living wage is some of the reason why you'll see that too. I think many of us, from a business perspective, have been trying to keep up with how much that's moved over that same time period that you mentioned. When you ask the question, which I love to answer, about who is advocating, this direct relationship that Amazon celebrates with our employees, the answer is the entirety of our leadership team, listening through multiple different channels to employee voice and responding. Pay is something that we've heard them say is very important to them, and as Stuart has pointed out, if you ask them why they work at Amazon, that we hear often that's the number one reason, because we pay competitively.
Do you want to add, Mr. Ball?
I'd like to just reinforce a point about that. Our employees join and stay with us, which is an important point, which is not just based on pay, but also upon the industry-leading benefits package, which Jennifer has talked through. But also, I think another area where we focus is around our skill development as well. We have an internal program called Careers Choice, where Amazon contributes to up to 95% of the fees over a 4-year period to upskill our employees. And that's an important point. And it's one that 20,000 people have now had the opportunity to actually upskill. When I talk about upskilling, that could be anything from HGV driving to cyber security. We have almost 10% of our current employees that are enrolled in that scheme. So I think it's important to take a step back and think about not just pay, but also in terms of benefits, and also the focus around how we can help develop a person's skills.
Well, we've just heard this afternoon that there's very few people who work for Amazon for more than 2 years and don't have some kind of injury that they've sustained at work. Is that true?
It's simply not true. It doesn't match my experience. The data also doesn't say that at all. In fact, what we hear is employees are looking for more opportunities to grow inside of Amazon, to learn new skills, to work in different areas inside of our buildings.